Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports back in the video today, and today the Denver Broncos are releasing quarterback, 9-time Pro Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl winner, and the 2020 Walter Payton winner, Russell Wilson. And this is not a surprise. I thought maybe they'd try to explore trading him, but no, they did not. They just cut him, which is probably a good idea. But they are taking $85 million. They're taking an $85 million hit. Russell Wilson. I'll be honest. I don't think he played terrible in the 2023 season. He wasn't great, and I think for the Broncos' expectations, they were hoping to make the playoffs. I think it was for the Broncos. I think it was for them. It was a playoffs or bust, and that obviously didn't happen. And sure, Russell Wilson was playing good. I think he was playing above average for sure. I mean, he threw 26 touchdowns, threw over 3,000 passing yards in only 15 games. He only threw 8 interceptions. He was playing great football, but I think for the contract he had and the money he was receiving, he's playing terrible. I think for that, that type of money with the money he was making, you have to be playing way better football. That you have to have a better record than 7-8 as the starter. And I think that and even let's go. You said we talk about 7-8 this season. Go to the first season. I mean, as a starter was 11-19 with the Broncos. So I think even if you're playing well, the team's not playing well, and you're not playing well enough for the money you're receiving. Sure, you're playing well, but you're not playing near enough of the money you're receiving. And I think that's another thing with the Broncos, and this is their chance to, finally draft a quarterback. I mean, it's something. Why have they not done this? I don't know. They've gone from veteran to veteran to veteran to veteran, and it's something. I don't know why the Broncos keep doing that. Aging veterans, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, which is funny enough, he's now playing great football again. Russell Wilson. We've seen so many other starting quarterbacks go there, and veterans that are washed up and at the end of their career, and the Denver Broncos just hope that they, can get what they, got from Peyton Manning. And really the only true guy that they have drafted and, the only quarterback that they've had that they've used in the draft since Peyton Manning retired was Drew Lock. And I'll be honest with you guys right now, they gave up on Drew Lock. I think that was a terrible decision. This is the worst trade of all time as well. They didn't get any. They got one draft pick back with Russell Wilson. Whoever they drafted with that draft pick, not terrible. They gave up Noah Fant, who has been a really solid tight end for the Seahawks. They gave up Drew Lock, who actually, won them a huge game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they didn't make the playoffs, but that was still a huge win for the Seahawks that season, and played really good in that game too. They also gave up Shelby Harris, who wasn't a part of the team this year for Seattle, but he did. He was a part of the Seattle Seahawks for the 2022 season and was not bad for them. They gave up multiple draft picks. One of those draft picks became Devin Witherspoon. That says a lot right there. A lot of other draft picks, which became they drafted some guys with those draft picks they got from Denver that are starting to turn into really good players. Devin Witherspoon was a guy who was, outside of Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, is the best defensive guy outside, that was picked in the draft this year, or past season. So I think it's the worst trade of all time. You get a guy for 2 seasons. He has a record of 11-19. You really get nothing from him. Seattle gets a backup quarterback who's been there for them and even won them a game, stepped up for them. A tight end who's been above average. A defensive tackle for a season, and all these other draft picks, which one of those draft picks turned into a star in Devin Witherspoon, and a young star. So even if those draft picks don't become successful, I still think this is the worst trade of all time in my opinion, especially with how bad the Broncos were with him. Now I want to talk about real quick what's next for these two sides. What's next for Russell Wilson? What's next for the Broncos? And here's what I would do if I'm the Broncos and if I'm Russell Wilson. If I'm Russell Wilson, I think the best fit for him you can bring up the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're a team that will be in the mix for him, and I think same thing goes for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Although I doubt if I were Russell Wilson, I wouldn't go to Pittsburgh, especially with them having faith in Kenny Pickett. Sure, he can mess up, he can get injured. I think that's maybe a decent spot for Russell, but I think those are the best two spots for him, are Atlanta or Las Vegas. If I'm Las Vegas, I go ahead and pick up Russell Wilson and keep Aiden O'Connell as the backup. You'd have Aiden O'Connell, a guy you know you can trust. He stepped up for you. When this season when he was the starter after they benched Jimmy G. So if you don't trust Russ or Russ gets injured, you have another good quarterback and Aiden O'Connell. I think with Russ, I think he'd be in a better offense. Having Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, I think. I really like Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, I really do, but Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, nowhere near. Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are nowhere near those two guys, and Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. They also have an amazing tight end, Michael Myers, as well. So I think a good offense, a defense that is trying to improve, and they play tough as well. I think Russ would be on a better team than he would be compared to with Denver. I don't think there would be a lot of expectations. Obviously, I think Las Vegas would try to make the playoffs, but I wouldn't think, like, with Russ's contract, I feel like it was playoff or bust for them, and I don't think that necessarily would be like that for Las Vegas. I think if he plays well, they win a good amount of ball games, and he looks good in that offense. I honestly think, like, if you're Denver, if you're Las Vegas and you pick up Russell Wilson, obviously the top goal is to make the playoffs. But I think the goal to start the season would probably getting over 500, maybe like 8 to 9 wins. That's below 500. 8 is, but 9 would be over 500, and also. I think that'd be an improvement for what Las Vegas did this past season. What were they, 8-9 or 9-8 this past season? And the playoffs would be one thing, but honestly, if I were the Raiders, I would sign Russell Wilson. And then if Russell Wilson would play his former team twice, I think Russell Wilson will look a lot different with that Raiders offense than he did with the Denver Broncos offense. Let me know your thoughts. And also for the Broncos, what would I do if I were the Broncos at quarterback? I would go to the draft and pick up a guy like J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a little bit underrated. I think you're taking a risk. So I'd also sign a veteran in free agency. And I think a guy who's trustworthy. And I think it would remind me a lot with what the Indianapolis Colts did this season with having Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew. Picking up a guy like Jacoby Brissett. He's trustworthy. He's been trustworthy with the Colts. He's the Browns in the 2022 season. So while Deshaun Watson was suspended, so I think he's a guy who definitely you could start, and a rookie like J.J. McCarthy could definitely learn from Jacoby Brissett. So with not a lot of money to spend, you're not going to be able to get a top name like Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins. But I think you can go out there and get a veteran like Jacoby Brissett, like the Colts got Gardner Minshew last offseason, to back up a guy like Anthony Richardson, a rookie, and then you draft J.J. McCarthy. There's your rookie. So, Let me know your thoughts on the roster move by the Broncos releasing Russell in the comment section, and peace out.